If you play Escape from Tarkov and you've clicked on this video, chances are this probably isn't the first money-making guide that you've seen. Whether you're a new player wallowing in the sorrow of dying every single raid, the first thing you see and you're trying to recoup some of those losses, or you're a veteran player whose favorite money run is now overrun with player scavs and PMCs. And that's kind of what this video is about. I'm no Tarkov billionaire, and I'm definitely nowhere near the best at this game, but I do always have a decent chunk of money, and one of the most frequent questions I get asked is, how did you make your money in Tarkov? Which I didn't really know how to answer, because I don't really do money runs. I'm normally just powering through the quests and then going for PvP. And as I was getting ready to make this video, I realized it's not about a specific money run, but more about how I play the game in a way that I'm always making money over time. If you've ever heard the expression, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime, that's kind of my goal here. Instead of putting out another money run on a specific map that will eventually get outdated, whether because BSG changes the loopholes or because a bunch of people then learn that route and then everybody's taking it, making it less profitable, I'd rather make a video with the principles on how to play the game in a way that you're always insulated from losing a ton of money and that you're always profiting over time. Before we hop in, I want to tell you about a giveaway that we're doing with prizes up to a free gaming PC with a 3080 Ti and free pizza for an entire year. Yes, you heard that right. This month, we are sponsored by Capital One, showing off their online shopping tool, which is a browser extension that searches the internet for hundreds of thousands of coupon codes to save you money while you shop online, and it is absolutely free. And it doesn't stop there. We're partnering with Upstream to do a really awesome giveaway at the end of the month. So we have 30 days to get as many people to install the browser extension as possible. At the end of the month, depending on how many people install, will inform what the giveaway is. At 150 installs, it's a PS5. You go up to 500 installs, it's a brand new gaming PC with a 3080, and up at 1,000 installs is the grand prize. If we can hit this by the end of the month, the giveaway is a PC with a 3080 Ti, an entire streaming setup with monitor, chair, all the accessories, and $30 worth of pizza every week for an entire year. It couldn't be easier to install the extension and get you entered. You just click the giant purple banner saying install. It brings you to the Capital One website. You go ahead and add it to your browser. It works with Chrome, Safari, Edge, and Firefox. It can potentially save you money, and it enters you to win this insane giveaway. I think we can get up to the grand prize. So go ahead, use the link down below and install the Capital One online shopping tool. So one of the first things to remember is that it's easier now to make money than it basically has ever been in Escape from Tarkov. Maybe back in the day when there was no found and raid and you can sell absolutely everything on the flea market, sure. But in the grand scheme of things, there are so many more items, more enemy types with more loot, more barters. You've got the entire hideout as that's been continually fleshed out with more crafts, and just about everything has value. It really is an old way of thinking to think that you have to bum rush high value treasure spawns or high value loot like lead X's in order to profit. So many simple things that people walk over or leave behind in looted containers have so much value, and you can use those things to make literally hundreds of thousands of rubles per raid if you're smart. The absolute biggest thing when it comes to making money in Escape from Tarkov, the thing where if you don't listen to any other part of the video, you need to start working on this, is survive more raids. Now, I know what that sounds like. That sounds stupid. Your eyes roll in the back of your head, but it really is something that people don't realize how much they need to work on. Yes, everybody wants to survive raids. Everybody wants to get out and extract, but if you were able to record your gameplay and watch it back, I think you'd be surprised at how many times you die pushing PvP that you didn't need to push, not retreating from a fight that you could have retreated from, pushing high value loot that you know other people are also going to be contesting, or maybe even looting a body of a juicy PMC that you killed that was way out in a bad spot that wasn't worth looting because then you died and lost everything. Truly playing this game for survival, truly trying to extract every raid is something that not many people do. Yes, everybody wants to survive and then they're frustrated when they die, but looking at how you play the game and playing the game for survival, it might not be the most action-packed, but it is the absolute best way to make money. If you're level 15 or above, a backpack full of random junk, bolts, screwdrivers, tape, all of that random stuff that everybody leaves behind is easily going to be worth 100,000 rubles or more per raid, and surviving 7, 8, or 9 out of 10 raids because you're playing for survival, in my opinion, will over the long run always profit you more than bum rushing super high value stuff, dying most of the time, and then maybe being able to sell 1 or 2 things to the vendor that you put in your secure container. Now, you play the game how you want to play. I don't play that way either. I don't even play all the way for survival. Of course, I'm chasing some PvP or I'm chasing some loot depending on my spawn, but basically dial that in how you want to. But it's important to know that playing that way is going to be the most profitable. And then, you know, based on how much money you have on hand, maybe you can take some riskier plays or push to places that are going to be a little bit more contested. That's all dependent on your skill level, how much money you have, how you like to play, and what you consider fun. But bar none, the best way to make money in this game is the boring stuff, looting all the trash everybody leaves behind, trying to sneak out, getting into as little combat as possible, or only getting into combat that you know you can win, and just extracting and surviving repeatedly. Not only is surviving netting you money with everything that you can sell, but surviving is also protecting you from the cost of having to buy another kit. It's one of the most frustrating parts of this game. You go in, you die, you have to buy your whole nother kit, ammo, mags, everything, helmet, anything that you don't have. You go in, you push a really high value loot spawn, you die again, and you have to do it all over again. So even surviving with a backpack half full of stuff, if there's people over there, or you know you need to get out because you're hurt and you ran out of meds, surviving is insulating you from having to spend money on another kit and getting you profits from whatever it is that you find in that raid. Now, all that being said, there are 3 major ways to make money in Escape from Tarkov, and first we'll talk about scavving. Now, scavving, once again, obvious, but insane for profit. You can spawn with some pretty insane stuff, and it is really, really hard to get a run through as a scav, so you can spawn in with either a quest item, high value items, a gun that you want, or anything like that, and then bum rush it to extract, boom, you have an absolutely free kit, or all the profit from selling that kit to the traders. Now, there's a few different ways that you can play your scav. You can go high risk, high reward, because dying as a scav doesn't cost you money because whatever kit you have on your PMC is still there. So you can rush the high tier loot, or my favorite thing to do is fight PMCs as a scav. Dumpstering them just feels so good, and then you can take their whole kit and any loot that they found. It's super fun, and there's a lot of profit potential there. But like we said earlier, the same principles of just go find the boring loot absolutely apply. Depending on how much you play the game, you can go really, really hard with the karma, and raising your karma lowers the amount of time it takes between scav raids. Also, the intel center and your hideout can do the same thing. On some of the levels, it actually decreases your scav cooldown. If you play enough to get up towards max karma, between that and the intel center, you can get to a point where you're scavving every 5, 6, or 7 minutes. It's something like that, and that is absolutely insane. You could sit down for an entire play session and just scav. You get out, by the time you're done sorting the loot, selling everything, and organizing your stash, you can basically scav again. The profit potential there is insane. The last tip I have for scav is scav with people, scav with friends. I normally do a scav army at the beginning of every stream where I invite some viewers and we do some 4-man scav armies. And it is crazy how much of an effect that has on the people around. When you run into even PMCs or other scavs, they are so much more likely to be nice to you and either talk over VoIP or run the other way when there's a 4-man of scavs running at them. The intimidation factor there is huge. Nobody wants to take on a 1v4, so we are constantly either all surviving together, or when there's a betrayer scav or a PMC, somebody in the group ends up winning that fight and getting all the loot. So scavving with friends is huge. The next big and obvious way to make money in this game is to play your PMC raids. Now, this is where the risk comes in. Dying costs you money, but all these same principles apply. Survive your raids as often as you can. Just loot up, even do your quests, whatever you're trying to do, but loot up the area around you, loot the boring stuff, fill your backpack, and get out alive. I always say that the best map to make money is the map you're most comfortable with. If somebody says, hey, go Lighthouse because there's a ton of loot there, but you don't know Lighthouse, you're probably going to run into other PMC spawns or into other player scavs as they spawn, and you're going to die more quickly. Now, learning all the maps is very good. You need to learn the maps to play this game, but if you're in a zone where you just need to make some money, the map you're the most comfortable with is going to have the highest profit. The other thing with PMCs is do your quests. The quests at the beginning give very low XP and not a whole lot of money, but they really do ramp up. Once you start get to like the mid-game quests for each trader, they really do start to offer you sometimes even hundreds of thousands of rubles out of a quest, so they can be absolutely worth doing. Same with dailies and weeklies. Always check these quests because sometimes the rewards for these things can be absolutely insane and they end up being found in raid. Sometimes you can get really expensive keys. I've even seen labs colored key cards. You can get quest items. Of course, it's going to be rare. You can re-roll ones you don't want to do, which is a new feature, which is awesome. But dailies and weeklies can be really good for profit. The rewards can be things that you can then sell for even more profit, and they're great for XP as well. Now, this one is a little bit more divisive, but similar to the scav advice, play with friends. Some people like to play this game solo, and there's a huge argument to be made, obviously, that if you're playing solo, everything you find is yours. That means more profit. You're not having to split the loot. You're not having to split the keyed rooms. You're not having to split, PMC kills. It's all yours. You can take it higher profit. And while that is true, and if you like playing solo, I would definitely say double down on that. You can make more money. If you're struggling to play solo, definitely start playing with friends. A little shout out here. Our Discord server is insane for people finding other people to play with, looking for group channels, a whole guide system, questions, all that kind of stuff. That link is down below. But playing with friends can raise that key factor, and that is survival. If you're struggling to play this game, sometimes having other people there, you take shots, you're hurt. Instead of having to fight that guy, you can fall back, heal. Your teammate, who is full health, pushes the guy, kills him. Now, maybe you would have died there. You don't get that PMC's loot, or you don't get all that PMC's loot, but you would have died there. Now you're alive. It can increase your survival rate. It can definitely increase the amount of time you're getting insurance back, which means you have to buy less full kits. So that is something to definitely look into doing if you're struggling. Obviously, 3s, 4s, 5-mans can get absolutely hectic, and actually it can be harder to survive. But find 1 or 2 people that are taking the game seriously and that you want to play with, and that can dramatically increase your survival rate and increase your profit. The third and final huge way to make money in Escape from Tarkov is through the Hideout. The Hideout is often very slept on. It can make you money directly and indirectly. Some of the modules in the Hideout actually increase the amount of money you make from the traders for quests. So that's just a bonus applied. Now all the quests you do, you're going to make more money from them than you would have before. And then there are more direct ways through all of the crafts. There are so many crafts, and the beauty of these crafts is that all this stuff ends up being found in raid, and you can sell it on the flea market if you want to, or certain things you can then use to craft other things, or you can use these really high value things in raid and you don't have to buy them, therefore saving you money. Now, if you want to deep dive on what specific crafts are very profitable right now, I'll link down below. Airwing Marine, a fellow Tarkov YouTuber, just recently did a video breaking down the most profitable things to craft in the Hideout. Once again, this is something that is going to change frequently. So if you're watching this video much later, then maybe either look for an updated guide or just do a little bit of research yourself. They're always adding new crafts or changing the rarity or the value of some items, which means the profitability of certain crafts may go up or down. It's a complicated web, but there is a lot here. I typically craft things that I know I'm going to use, like high tier ammos or something like that, or fabrics that I then barter for armors. I think about it through the lens of I don't want to have to spend money on things, and that saves me a ton of money long term. But there are also a ton of really profitable crafts in here where you can craft the thing, sell it on the flea market, and make money. Now, after all that being said, I do want to take a really quick second and give my general thoughts on the maps and how profitable they are from my experience, so that if you want to take all this information and go towards a map that you know you can make some money on, you can kind of have my thoughts on that. In general, I think Lighthouse is the absolute best map to make money right now. If you want combat, you go to the rogue camp. There's going to be tons of PMCs there. There's tons of loot there. All the rogues have decent loot. There's insane profitability over there. If you don't want as much combat, there's still an insane amount of loot at both chalets, the village down below. There's scavs everywhere. There's stashes. There's just so much good loot everywhere on that map as a scav or as a PMC. The profit potential there is insane, and there are some keys, but you really don't need keys to make money there. Reserve is probably a similar place. There's a lot of keyed rooms there, but you don't need that to make money. There's tons of filing cabinets. There's raiders. Gluhar and his goons can be insane for profit. There's a lot there. I'm not a huge fan of Reserve. I feel like all the combat just goes directly underground immediately, and then there are no other players. But you can use that to your advantage by not going down below for the raiders and looting all the buildings. It's probably going to be way less contested, and there's tons of the what I call boring loot. There's filing cabinets, there's PCs, there's duffel bags, there's all this kind of stuff. Not as much directly high-tier treasure loot, but that's kind of the point. You can go around to Reserve and make an absolute ton of money. Labs is probably always going to be the best for money when it just comes to how much money you can make on a map. Now, labs is obviously going to be sweatier PMCs. It costs money to get into labs, and you can't get into labs reliably. The only AI are raiders, and sometimes they can be absolutely cracked. And for maximum profit, you are going to need some key cards. But they have recently changed the loot in labs, and there are tons of high value stuff just laying around. LEDXs, treasure items, technical loot, computer loot, that kind of stuff. So you can find GPUs, you can find all sorts of that on labs without any keys, but you kind of have to know what you're doing, know what you're getting yourself into to make money there. Woods, I would say, is the most slept on map in the game when it comes to money. It's not very contested for PMCs because the map is so big. There are very rarely player scavs on Woods, and there is good loot everywhere. Moonshine, sugar, duffel bags, houses, all sorts of stuff. There's loot absolutely everywhere. Very, very underrated for loot. Interchange can be very profitable because of how many PCs, all the food, all the technical loot. However, it is very contested when it comes to player scavs, and the lighting on that map can sometimes make it frustrating to play. Shoreline kind of ends up just being the resort when it comes to maximum profitability. The keys can be very expensive, but with a full set of keys, you can make a ton of money on the Shoreline resort. It's going to be very contested with PvP. However, some other creators like Geeks have made crazy good guides on how to make money outside of the resort. There are tons of jackets, and Shoreline is definitely up there for having the most of the secret Jaeger stashes. So there's a lot of profit potential outside. It's a big map. It's going to take you a little bit more time, but you can make a ton of money there. And then of course, customs is customs. There's loot everywhere. There's scavs everywhere. It's one of the most balanced maps when it comes to where PMCs and scavs are going to be, which means there isn't really a consistent way to avoid people or combat, but it's good for scavving because there's often still PMCs left if you want to go fight them, and there's loot just about everywhere. Factory, of course, very, very small, not a whole lot of profit potential. Of course, you can get in, loot some crates, and then get out immediately. But if you're trying to stay in a raid longer than 5 or 6 minutes and maximize your loot potential, Factory might not be it. But it's a great place to burn a scav. If your friend died and you're just waiting on him to get out of the raid, you can go into Factory, loot a few things, run right to Extract, and then you've got some free loot. And then finally, my last thought on this whole thing is my kind of like super non-sciencey way and how I look at the game that I believe helps me always be making money over time. And that is I loot stuff I want to use. A lot of times I'm maybe taking an armor, whereas maybe if I had dropped that armor and took these 7 things, the profit per slot would have been higher and I would have made a little bit money if I sold all those things on the flea market. However, I don't like spending money. And that's, I kind of think, where most of my money comes from, is as long as I'm a little bit profitable each raid, but I don't have to spend a lot of money that night, I'm going to come out ahead. I like having huge stacks of ammo, magazines, armors, helmets, all of that stuff. I feel like it insulates me from loss, meaning it's easier for me to be profitable over time. If I die or from having a frustrating night, instead of having to constantly watch my ruble count go down as I buy entire kits, I can just throw on something I have, maybe a budget kit, maybe a meta kit, maybe something in between, go right back into a raid. And like I said, not sciencey, it's probably not the best way to make money, but it's how I like to play the game and I feel like it works for me. Also, it insulates me from some of these events in the past where they've taken away the traders, or you can't find food and water in raid or anything like that. I have so much stuff. I could probably build 10 to 20 full kits, top to bottom, guns, magazines, armor, helmet, everything, and not have to spend money right now. So that kind of helps me there when a lot of people were like, oh my God, I don't have any optics. I had plenty of optics. So that's another thing to consider while you're doing it. But that is it. That is my ultimate guide on how to make money in Escape from Tarkov. I hope that this was helpful, more helpful than just showing you one specific run that is eventually going to get outdated. But let me know what you think. What is your favorite way to make money in Escape from Tarkov? And what is your favorite map to do it on? I want to hear all that down below. If you like this video, think about dropping a like, commenting down below, or subscribing to the channel for more content like this. Subscribing really, really helps me out. So thank you so much to those that do that. Like we said before, if you want some people to play Tarkov with, our Discord server is an awesome place to be. That link is down below as well. And I stream Escape from Tarkov on Twitch about 6 days a week. My Twitch link is down below. I'd love to have you stop by and say, hey, thank you again for stopping by, and I will definitely see y'all on the next one.